So in today's video, I want to provide you with a final review based on my own experience of the Koala sofa bed after the last 10 months. I want to start with this before we get into anything. I love the sofa beds, but after living in the smaller space for almost a year, my needs and wants have just changed for what I want out of this space. And most of you only know me from watching these YouTube videos, but if you knew me beyond the camera, you'd know that I get bored of a room very easily, and even more so in a small space like this. It was no surprise to my parents coming to spaces in the past when they'd open the door and see that I sold half or all of my stuff.
$70,000 from selling all this stuff.
Because it's only 419 square feet in this giant square, you're really limited to the things that you use every single day. Before we get into the pros and cons, let's give you some of the highlights to catch you up to speed from some of the other videos. So in total, I've had the sofa for about 10 months. It was the 70-inch queen in paperbark gray and the luxe fabric. I purchased with my own money prior to reaching out to Koala for the sponsorship, and through that they sent me the 46-inch single in the same color and fabric. It was my full-time bed for about 6 months. It was my main sofa that I used every day for all 10 months. I purchased in June 2024 for $1,695, and it currently retails for $2,090. That was actually one of the reasons why I sold. I just happened to look up the price again, and being that it's maybe in more demand, something going on in the market with sofa beds in general, because I started seeing them pop up on a lot of websites like Article and some other main ones, it went up quite a bit of money. Figured it would be worth selling to then turn this into a different space. And the reason I'm making this video without it behind me is because it sold very quickly. So let's jump into the pros of the sofa bed. I first want to start with the minimal design. The Koala being low profile and the rounded corners really helped. It gave it a little bit more visual interest, and I liked the luxe fabric option compared to the cotton. It was actually surprisingly soft. I thought it would be a little rougher than it was. Multi-purpose. It's a good sofa, but it was also a surprisingly good bed. I said this in my other video where I was just gonna get used to whatever the bed was. My expectations were actually pretty low.
Oh, I hate sleeping on the floor.
I was surprised when I was sleeping as well as I was in the beginning, and it really wasn't until later when I started to notice some of the things that I'll talk about in the cons. It's a great guest bed. It's not meant for a full-time bed. I think I was pushing it to its limits a little bit. The rounded arms and side pillows. So I mentioned the rounded corners before, but those side armrests being rounded and the pillows rounding over those armrests helped so much for me being somewhat of a taller guy too. That really did allow me to lay almost completely down. My legs would hang off a little bit if my head was all the way down on the sofa. That's usually the position I gravitate towards when I'm watching TV for long periods of time. Small footprint. It being 70 inches for a smaller space, I was able to fit that whole other 46-inch off to the side. So 70 inches I feel like is a pretty good size if you have an even smaller studio. Those of you that might live in New York or somewhere where you are really limited to like a bed and a sofa and that's it. No tools needed. That was a big bonus. Took me a little bit longer after my flight. I think it was like 25 minutes. I think you could do it in 15 to 20 pretty easily. I had trouble with one of the legs on the bottom. I didn't follow directions correctly and went out of order. So watch the video that they provide online. It's very straightforward. And low maintenance is the last pro. Initially, I was doing over maintenance. I was vacuuming it like once a week, vacuuming it every once in a while, really just to minimize odors and stuff. Really helped. I only spilled a couple things on it and was able to get it out. Got some chocolate on it, which I was able to get out.
Chocolate all over your face. You know,
Small piece. I sat on it for a little bit, didn't even know, and then just got a wet paper towel and just dabbed it out. And then a little bit of minor pilling, like the shorts I have on have the little zipper in the back. Zipper might get caught or it drags on there. You might get a little pill, but they make those combs that you can easily get those out. Overall, really impressed with the quality. I'll drop some pictures that I put it up for sale for so you can see how it looked after 10 months. It didn't change much after being almost a year. It looked pretty much how it looked when I got it brand new. So the cons is the crease being the main one that we've talked about in the other videos. The crease I think really only applies because I used it every single day as my full-time bed. I don't think a guest will really notice it for sleeping on it for a few nights to a week. And if you look at sofa beds out there, the crease is a hard thing to avoid on that fold-up style sofa bed like the Koala one that I had. You're gonna see that in most of them out there. It's just the position that it hits you for how tall you are. And for me, I mentioned my motorcycle accident. It was hitting me right on my hip area that's a little bit sore. So after about 4 months is when I really started to notice that. But before that, I was actually sleeping really good. It's still a call out because if you are planning on using it for a full-time bed, just know that might come up. Cushion slide. I noticed it only after very long periods of time. Again, you're sitting on a sofa bed, so it's not a cushion that's actually pressed against the frame. It's a mattress folded in half and you're sitting on top. So the mattress is pretty firm. It's actually pretty supportive. The only time that I really noticed a little bit of lower back pain is when I would be sitting in one spot for very long periods of time, and then I would just jump to the other side. During those long periods of time, I would notice the cushions slide forward a little bit. It was only that I noticed it because of the position that I was sitting in hours later, and then I'd get that little minor back pain. So it's not that I was sitting in it and I could physically feel the slide down. It was very slight. You could see it when you would get up, where if this is the seam, the sofa was just a little bit in front and you just use your knee or whatever to knock it back in place to get that upright position again. And then the size, a pro, and for me also a con. Me being 6 foot tall, 70 inches is just a little bit small for me. I love to lounge out fully. That was somewhat of a downside on some days when I just wanted to be super lazy and not get off the sofa. So the overall summary and the point of this review is I've spent a lot of time on this sofa. I stand by everything that I said. I did a lot of research before I purchased it, and I really did love the sofa beds. If you have any questions or if you're interested in purchasing one, I do have an affiliate link with them still. So if you purchase and use my link, the money helps my channel, but I don't care whether you purchase or not. If it's something that you want to and you have extra questions, ask me in the comments and you'll get a detailed answer. You know that feeling when you walk in a room or a hotel or a house, friend's house, when you're having a conversation, and you don't know what it is about the room, but it just feels right. Something about it just feels good. That is what I love. And that's what I'm trying to create in here for me. I spend a lot of time in my head, and I spend a lot of time in the apartment, working from home, doing YouTube, reading. Your space is really important, or at least it is for me. It calms you down at the end of the day, and creating an environment that feels cozy and relaxing, that is an art form. The furniture, the layout, the lighting, the color palette, all of those things come in together to create this cohesive feeling. Like anything else, you have to practice at something to get better. So that's what I've been doing. I've been researching, watching YouTube videos, listening to interior designers talk about what makes a room feel cozier, or little tricks specifically in smaller spaces, like the rug that I got, different from my old one, went a little bit bigger, smaller repeating patterns to really visually carry your eyes throughout the room. I cannot tell you how big of a difference it made for me laying it down, feeling the wool instead of flat weave, the feeling underneath your bare feet. Just that feeling alone is a game changer compared to my other one where it was a little bit rougher and flat. So very simple things that I'm seeing in real time that still surprises me that a rug can change a room that much. All right, so here's a quick unboxing. This was my first time using Revival. I like that it came folded. Normally rugs come rolled, so this laid out pretty nicely. Didn't have to use the books or anything afterwards to flatten it out. I did lay it out wrong, so you'll see me notice here in a second that I had it the wrong way. So once I get it turned, would have made it easier with 2 people, but it just took some fidgeting just to get it laid out properly. I didn't have to cut the pad. It fit perfectly once I got it all situated out. Overall, really happy with it. So this will be multiple episodes as I get new furniture in. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, you've seen snippets already of some of the items that I've gotten. I do a little bit of behind the scenes stuff, I guess you would say, in my Instagram stories. So if you want to follow me there, go for it. I am not made of money, so I have to reset after I buy a couple things, and it gives me time to think about what else that, one, I even need in this space, specifically artwork, to really start adding some pops of color in here and create the backdrop that I have in my head behind the sofa. The sofa too, I am so stoked. That will be a whole dedicated episode. It is from the 70s. It's IKEA. You would not guess that it's IKEA. There's not much info about it online. I was actually digging through IKEA's archives, their digital catalogs that they have on their website. So I'll go into a little bit of history as I learn about it. Thank you so much for watching these. Thanks for the support. Thanks for using my link for the people that have bought one. I'll see you on the next one. I don't know what I normally say. It's been too long. It's been like 2 months. 1% battery. Okay. It was a great solution for moving here. Honestly, I don't know what I've done. I don't know what I really want a studio. Forgot YouTube. God, we're gonna have so many cuts. So many cuts.